That looks like... Oh, it's another super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine. Indeed, it would appear so, though only a prototype, naturally. Oh, so you got here then. Gina, well done for finding this place. And in such little time. Are you really working miracles? It's Toby here, who's the miracle worker. I thought you lot would show up before long. Hello, Inspector. That's one knitted brow. He looks like he's eating a lemon, not a bag of fish and chips. So, Inspector, is there any sign of the engineer? Sadly not. We didn't find a soul in here. Oh, what a shame. Well, thank you for letting us know about this place and giving us the chance to investigate. According to what Gina tells me, we only found it thanks to a clue that you lot turned up. I wouldn't want to say go to Paris with a debt of gratitude unpaid now, would I? Thank you. Anyway, if you're hoping to snoop around in here, I'd get cracking. Lord Van Zykes and the forensics investigation team are on their way here as we speak. Them again? I imagine you've got the picture by now. They don't take too kindly to lawyer types. Right. So then, my dear fellow, let's turn this place upside down whilst we have the chance. And you, Sholmes. Pardon? They take even less kindly to great detectives than they do lawyers. Very droll, Gregson, very droll. But you may consider me nothing more than an inconspicuous waxwork model. Right then, let's see what we can find. The machine is covered by the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. There would be serious repercussions if we were to examine it, from the Crown and the government. Well, those two don't seem to be holding back. It's quite hollow inside. No working parts or devices of deception to be seen, my dear fellow. No loose change dropped on the floor, nothing. Not even a bone for Toby here, my dear fellow. British people are very much ruled by their own ideals, aren't they? I think that's just these two. It's a European-style quiver of arrows with steel bolts inside. Oh, do you suppose? Crossbow bolts, these. And just the right size for the bow you lot turned up at the exhibition grounds. In other words... Yep, that's more evidence to support your theory. It all goes to show that Drebber was the one pulling the strings behind the scenes of the whole scam. Oh, this appears to be most interesting. Yes, most interesting indeed, wouldn't you say? It's an impressive-looking back massager, that's for sure. I've no doubt that if you hit your shoulders a few times with that, your aches and pains would soon go away. It's a Royal Society trophy for excellence in science. A young scientist could wish for no higher honor. Oh. Would you like a massage? No, I'm fine, thank you. I had no idea it was such a grand thing. I think it's becoming increasingly clear that there's much more to this Mr. Enoch Drebber than conjuring tricks. I couldn't agree more, my dear madam. And how about you, Mr. Naruhodo? Wouldn't you like to take it with you? For your tired shoulders, of course. He's not going to let that go, is he? It's curious, though, isn't it? You would expect such an important trophy to be proudly on display somewhere, not haphazardly cast aside. English gentlemen can be quite a mystery at times. What on earth is this? An aeroplane. One day, scientists believe it will allow humans to fly freely in the skies. Is that how the trick will be described, is it? Sorry? Well, it's actually suspended by a thin but very strong cable, isn't it? Oh, well, this model is, yes, but a real airplane would actually fly high in the sky. While suspended from somewhere even higher than the sky, of course, because large metal objects obviously can't really stay in midair unsupported. So, to you, the solution is ever taller towers? This door doesn't want to open. Yeah, looks like it's got a pretty hefty lock on it. There's a specialist locksmith on his way over from the yard, so hands off till he gets here. With permission, Inspector, I could have a lock open in less than a minute. Well, you don't have permission, and no one's given it to you. Gregson looked as though he really enjoyed that. Well, there's no sound of anybody on the other side. Nope, Drebber must have fled at the first sign of danger. Oh. Oh? Is something wrong, Miss Usato? Well, I thought I heard a noise from the far side of that door. Well, Gina, did you hear it too? Yeah, I heard it. What you reckon, Toby? Right, mind the grease. Whoever's in there, open up. This is Scotland Yard. Oh, now look what you did. Oh my, there is someone in there. Oh, this rotten bleeding lock. My dear Gregson, as I said only minutes ago, if only it were continents, I could unlock that door in less than a minute. Fine, I'll take the rap for it. Just get us through that blasted door. There, you may enter at will. You've confused minutes with seconds, I think. Time is of the essence, I feel. What are we waiting for? Nothing for it, I suppose. This is an emergency. There's a strong possibility that beyond this door is the engineer that you all seek. Be prepared for action, my dear fellow. Yes. I mean, we kind of heard him, like, close another door, so I think he ran. Oh my god, a fucking bomb. Straight up a bomb. What's happened in here? Why is everything upside down? Rats, there ain't no one in here after all. But there must be. It was only moments ago that we heard those noises. Maybe that was the sound of Drebber running away. But there's only one door into this room. And no windows that could afford an escape route. Those skylights are too high. Well, there's a footprint, so... What's that? Are they footprints? On the ceiling? What have we here, then? Looks like someone was trying to burn something in a hurry. Oh, that looks like a set of blueprints. To what? To that Professor Hairbrain's Barmy machine, is it? Blimey, if we'd had these, there'd been no need to muck about trying to investigate all that scrap metal. There is something of great interest here, too. This rope was lying on the floor at the foot of that pillar. A rope? What's significant about that? Never mind. You see, but you do not observe, Mr. Naruhodo. We must investigate the entire room thoroughly, and before the forensic investigation team arrived too. Hello, is anyone gonna bomb? Mr. Sholmes, have you found something? Yes, in point of fact, something rather fascinating. What do you make of this? Let's see. I've never seen anything like it before. It looks like a bundle of thick cigars wrapped up in a large... Miss Usato, what's the matter? Surely that's a time bomb, isn't it? What did you say? A time bomb? Sorry, but what is a time bomb exactly? You truly are one of a kind, Mr. Naruhodo. I won't take that as a compliment. You don't know nothing, do ya? You haven't got a clue what it is either, have you, Gina? I invite you to consult a dictionary later. But this particular specimen is no time bomb, though I confess it is very similar in appearance. Oh, well, thank goodness. But then, what is it? I see. So that's it. Have you seen to the heart of the matter? There are times when I consider my lot most unfair, for I'm fated never to know how it feels to flounder as you do when a puzzle presents itself. But I have learned to accept the hardships that come with being a great detective. Here we go. I feel a great deduction coming. Once again, I can draw two conclusions from the scene we see before us. The first is that the inverted nature of the furniture in this room is the work of Drebber himself. Oh, but how could you... And the second conclusion is that the small device on the floor there is, without question, completely genuine. Please, Mr. Sholmes, you must explain everything. It would be a pleasure. After all, it is a great detective's civic duty to teach Scotland Yard the finer points of the trade. Well, Inspector Gregson seems delighted with the idea anyway. Oh, you deflected the inspector's glare with such fortitude there, Mr. Sholmes. Well done. You're too kind, my dear madam. I hereby dedicate this great deduction to you. Kindly stand just there. Oh, I'd be delighted. So, shall we begin? Once again, Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. It's plain to see that this room is in complete disarray. The bed, the table, and chairs, the lamp, everything is upside down. Almost as if every item in the room had, until recently, been happily positioned on the ceiling, before falling straight down onto the floor. Every item in the room was on the ceiling? Are you suggesting that... Indeed, the key here is gravity. It would appear that technology has at last succeeded in freeing us from the great pull of the earth. For the gravity in this room was reversed and then suddenly restored to normality. Goodness. The inverted furniture clearly reveals the truth about the part gravity played in this whole business. I quite understand your skepticism, Miss Susato. I, too, was incredulous at first. However, my conviction in my analysis was cemented when I observed this. An anti-gravity device, almost identical to one that featured in a dream of mine only the other day, in fact. But why does it have a clock on it? A most relevant question indeed. That is a timing device that controls when the gravity direction will switch. There was clearly a requirement for the engineer to be able to restore normal gravity automatically, and the commotion we heard earlier from the other side of the door was the moment that restoration occurred. Yes, the reason why everything in here has been turned upside down is because of the anti-gravity device. So you see, we need look no further to explain the state in which we now find this room. The direction in which gravity acts in here was reversed by Mr. Drebber before being restored normally in an automatic fashion sometime later by the timer device. I have witnessed precisely the scene in a dream I once had when I fell out of bed. Now let us consider the next conundrum. What was our engineer friend's aim? Undoubtedly, the greatest clue we have to explain his actions is above our heads. Yes, how is it possible that there are footprints all the way up there on the ceiling? A question whose answer will lead us neatly to the truth, my dear madam. The reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because of the nearby skylight. Of course, Drebber's aim was singular, to escape. However, there is but one way into this room, excepting the skylight, that is. By inverting the gravity in here, Drebber was able to fall conveniently to the ceiling and make his escape via the otherwise inaccessible skylight, leaving those footprints behind on the way. But the ceiling in here is very high, Mr. Sholmes. If the gravity reversal was sudden, wouldn't Mr. Drebber have fallen up to the ceiling rather violently? Falling up is both scientifically and philosophically a rather interesting concept, I feel. But the man was cornered with nowhere to run, so escape through the skylight was his only option. You may recall that I found this in the room earlier, which I believe offers a solution. Oh, the rope. To reach the intended destination, what better tool than this rope? By anchoring one end to the wall, the man was able to lower himself safely to the ceiling. Which explains how Drebber was able to escape this room before our arrival. He reversed the pull of gravity and fled via the skylight. And personally, I should very much like to reverse the pull of gravity again now, just for fun. Thus concludes Sherlock Sholmes' great deduction of this topsy-turvy puzzle. She's completely spellbound. Mr. Sholmes, there is just one thing that troubles me. I would expect nothing less. You're destined to be troubled by just one thing for the rest of your life. The thing is such a thing actually possible? An anti-gravity device, I mean? I would say that with man's current scientific knowledge and at the turn of the 20th century, it's no more possible than instantaneous kinesis. But your whole deduction hinges on it. Oh, but my dear fellow, when you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth, however improbable it may seem. It's a marvelous line, wouldn't you agree? One of my more enduring pearls of wisdom. I had Iris come up with the exact phrasing. My original was clumsy. Yes, I have a feeling I've read it in something that Miss Susato lent me once. Actually, there is one other thing, Mr. Sholmes. Oh, the spell's broken at last. The rope you found was on the floor, wasn't it? Indeed it was, in lonely coils near the wall. But if Mr. Drebber had used it to escape in the way you described, wouldn't it still be tied to the wall? Mysteries inevitably unravel in the end, as I think you'll find, do ropes. And as evidence of such, you need only look at the mystery we faced in this room, how skillfully unraveled. That argument is as circular as the coils of a rope. I think perhaps you might need to give Mr. Sholmes the usual little helping hand. I'm sure with some minor corrections, the great detective's great deduction will lead us to the truth. Yeah, you're right. And we must do it quickly before Enoch Drebber gets too far away. If you're ready, then let us resume. Sherlock Sholmes' logic and reasoning spectacular. Combining both words. Alright, room is in disarray. They all upside down. Okay, the inverted furniture. To think gravity could have been reversed in this very room. I find the whole idea utterly enthralling. Only Mr. Sholmes could conceive of such an explanation. But the man himself admitted it was a scientific impossibility, so... Yeah, you're quite right. We must completely discount the idea for once. Oh, that's unusually merciless of you, Miss Susato. When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. The great detective himself said so, didn't he? While refusing to part with his dreams of anti-gravity devices. Yeah, I suppose so. Well, let's see if examining this topsy-turvy scene a little more closely reveals some proof that shows exactly what the gravity in this room was or wasn't doing. Well, I wasn't expecting to find a pretty bunch of flowers in here, that's for sure. Oh, look at that. I know, the slender vase looks like it's about to topple at any moment, but the flowers are thriving. Somehow it makes you think of fragility of life, wouldn't you say? To be honest, something else about it made a rather deeper impression. I mean, I guess so, yeah, no, but this vase is still upright. The upright vase clearly reveals the truth about the part gravity played in this whole business. Upon my word, you've surpassed yourself by completely turning my argument on its head. Trying to impress your assistant here, perhaps? No one is trying to steal your spotlight here, Mr. Sholmes. Trust me. As you rightly say, though it appears at first glance that all the furniture in the room is upside down, this unassuming slender vase is standing keenly to attention. And unlike the large safe, there's nothing affixing it to the floor. And it's the exception that breaks the rule. In short, much as it pains me, the gravity in this room was never inverted at all. My deepest sympathies for your loss. Oh, poor Mr. Sholmes. But now the show must go on, so let us continue with our deductions. Now that we know this contrivance is not in fact an anti-gravity device, there remains but one other possibility. You don't say. Someone deliberately turned over every piece of furniture in here, which might sound obvious but leaves one mystery very much unsolved. Namely, why would anyone choose to do that? Quite, and naturally there is an explanation. Yes, the reason why everything in here has been turned upside down is because of this thing. He's absolutely determined that this device must have something to do with it, isn't he? I'm afraid the lure of an exciting scientific explanation is too strong. Well, there's no doubt that somebody did this. Somebody turned all the furniture over. So whoever it was must have had a reason. I'm afraid nothing comes to mind at all, though. Well, let's look around and see if the answer presents itself. Look, there's something written on the underside of this armchair. Oh yes, safe 432582. Safe? As in safe and secure? As in secure lockable box, I think. Admittedly more like it, or more likely. Well, there is a large safe bolted to the floor on the other side of the room, so yes. So you mean this number would let us open it? I wonder why it's written here, though. I think he was looking for this. Yes, the reason why everything in here has been turned upside down is because of the safe combination. Precisely, I believe that you had a very similar experience once, did you not? Yes, last year, when I bought a lottery ticket and noted the ticket number down on the inside cover of a book just in case. That's it. For people are forgetful souls at heart and always make a written note of important information. Just keeping the ticket itself safe would be more sensible, I think. And what, pray, happened next? When the day of the draw came around, I'd forgotten which book I'd written the number in and had to turn my room upside down to find it. That's it. For people are forgetful souls at heart and always forget where they've noted things down. Not if you always note things in the same place. I actually won the second prize, you know. But I couldn't remember which magazine I'd slipped the ticket into. Thank you, but I believe I've proven my point now. Which is that a very similar scenario has clearly unfolded in this room. Finding himself requiring access to the safe, the occupant of this room needed the combination code. He remembered that he'd written it on the underside of a piece of furniture, but forgotten which one, leading to the state in which we now find the room. Yes, Mr. Drebber overturned all the furniture in here in a desperate hurry to locate the combination code that would unlock the safe. Now let us consider the next one. Okay, what did he want? Well, if a change in the direction of gravity can't explain it, then how did those footprints get there? Yeah, I feel as though that particular mystery has just become even harder to solve. I can't think of any other way to explain it at all. Oh, life was so much simpler in those halcyon days when gravity could be reversed. It was minutes ago, and those halcyon days never existed in the first place. Well, I suppose we must simply put our faith in Mr. Sholmes and observe the area in more detail. Putting our faith in Mr. Sholmes is what gets us into these situations in the first place. The balloon? This is a gas balloon, isn't it? It's tiny, but it does seem to be a real balloon. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's helium that's keeping it up. A green gas balloon. Why does that seem to ring a bell with me? If you can see, there are footprints on this balloon too. Look. Oh yeah, surely that's a clue, isn't it? Though what it tells us, I'm not sure. It's hard to believe, but there's a shoe up here. Yeah, there are more footprints on this little balloon too. Perhaps the shoe was thrown up there and became lodged, do you think? If so, then judging from the number of footprints, it must have been thrown up several times. Why would anyone be throwing shoes up at the ceiling though? Oh dear, that's beyond me, I'm afraid. Because of the shoe? Is it because of the shoe? He was throwing shoes up there? The reason that there are footprints on the ceiling is because of the nearby shoe. And on closer inspection, there are clearly footprints all over the balloon as well. In other words, the aim was never the skylight at all, but the balloon. But for what purpose? A green balloon. That seems somewhat familiar data. It was a piece of green balloon, of a green balloon's envelope that Mr. Naruhodo and Iris found at the scene. And inside the green balloon that Master Gotts claims he saw above the stage when the incident occurred was the second birdcage, the crux of the whole instantaneous kinesis deception. You mean to say, if we assume the balloon in here is a model of the one used on the day, there is a strong possibility that something may be concealed inside it. Something our absconder was desperate to retrieve before making a hasty getaway. But the balloon's out of reach, hence why he resorted to a projectile, namely, the shoe. Most probably, Drebber intended to tear a hole in the envelope by assailing it with the shoe. However, his efforts were thwarted when the shoe itself became a prisoner of those lofty heights. Oh dear, we desperately need to examine that balloon. If only there was some way we could see inside. You may recall that I found this in the room earlier, which I believe offers a solution. Oh, the rope. To reach the intended destination, what better tool than this rope? Mr. Sholmes has managed to bring the deduction back to the rope. Alright, I have to admit, that was clever. So we just throw the rope up to the balloon and then pull it down to the ground? Which is much easier said than done, I feel. And could take us a very long time as well. True. Perhaps we need a more surefire method. In fact, we already have one, of course, don't we? The crossbow? To reach the intended destination, what better tool than this crossbow? That was found at the scene, in fact, and in all likelihood belongs to Mr. Drebber. If the man had only brought it away with him that day, he could have avoided losing a shoe in such a critical time as this. So, shall we? Your curiosity is deeply stirred, no doubt, my dear fellows. What is it that Enoch Drebber has hidden inside that balloon? What? A waxwork? Indeed it is. A waxwork head inside a metal mask. A mask that is shut tight and fastened with a strong and quite impenetrable lock. So we can't see the face inside, that means. Just a moment, this is the head of a waxwork model? Does that mean... Oh goodness. I see you've joined the dots, Miss Susato. Excellent. Oh, of course, a headless waxwork model. The case of the abducted Madame Tuspel's model that you largely solved. It was only the head of the killer that was still missing. Indeed it was. But I believe Madame Tuspel will now have to settle her sizable account with me. This, as you have now surmised, is the head of the infamous professor. Yes. Well, why is it here? This conclusively confirms my suspicions. The man responsible for stealing the professor from Madame Tuspel's and returning it, sans tête, earlier today was none other than Enoch Drebber. This is incredible. Professor Harebrain's case and the waxwork abduction they're inextricably linked by Enoch Drebber's workshop. Well, it appears our logical pleasure cruise has come to an end, my dear fellows. All that remains is, yes, to speak with the architect of this adventure. The architect? You mean Mr. Drebber? As it seems quite impossible that he escaped via one of the skylights, obviously the man must still be here in the room. What? And his location should be abundantly clear. If you simply reflect on the journey we've made together during this deduction. Enoch Drebber is right here, somewhere in this room? So, Mr. Naruhodo, will you do the honors? Yes, of course. Mr. Drebber's hiding place must be the... I think he's in the safe, right? Because he looked up the numbers for the safe. I don't know why he put this here. Maybe as like a deterrent. I say he's in here. Because we did hear a door close. Before we gained access to this back room, we heard noises from in here. Which tells us that the engineer was still in the building at that point in time. He was in fact searching for the combination to his safe. And pressed for time, made no attempt to right the furniture that he overturned in the process. From which we can deduce that his search for the combination happened very recently indeed. In summary, Mr. Enoch Drebber is at this very moment inside the safe. Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of this topsy-turvy puzzle. So, Mr. Naruhodo, I think perhaps it's time we ended this game of hide and seek, don't you? By opening the safe, you mean? What else? Let's see. The combination was 143252. I knew that. All right, here it goes. You found me. Oh. Damn, you all right there? Right then, sir. Mr. Enoch Drebber, I presume? Correct. You better start talking. You tricked Professor Hairbrain with that bogus machine you built. And you shall have to explain the theft of the waxwork from Madame Tussbells as well. Whilst I would be delighted to answer your many questions, personally, I would advise that you deactivate my little parcel first. Deactivate your parcel? I refer, of course, to the time bomb. I left it in a most prominent position. I see. Stunned silence. You're all gearing up to die with me then? Mr. Sholmes with only 7 seconds to spare. That was too close for comfort. I've got one foot in the grave already. Are you trying to help us get a killer or get us killed? Mr. Sholmes' deductions can be completely life-altering, can't they? Well, my dear fellows, that was a close shave. The resemblance to an anti-gravity device is really quite startling, I must say. Anti-gravity devices don't exist. I wouldn't push it, Mr. Sholmes. What on earth happened in here? You found me, haven't you? No need to screw me down any further. Everything in here is precisely what it seems. Yeah, well, we'll be giving it a thorough going over. Don't you worry, Drebber. What fails to click with me is how you were able to locate my workshop. That I was not expecting. When I heard whistling from the other room, I knew it was time to bolt. Whistling? Oh, that would have been me. Oh. For some reason, I woke in fine fettle today. No words, just tightly squeezed chips. Clearly, I must have a screw loose, though, as I couldn't remember the combination for the safe. And another one loose, as I couldn't remember on which piece of furniture I'd written it down. We also found a rope over by the wall. Yes, I had hoped to exit through the skylight, but sadly the rope was too short. So then I set about searching for the combination code to open the safe. And burning the incriminating blueprints, don't forget. Regrettably, though, you failed to retrieve the head from the balloon among the rafters. And after that, you hid yourself inside the safe? Having first set this parcel ticking? Well, I had no intention of being nailed by the police. Got a death wish, have you? Hiding right beside a ticking time bomb. Please. Why do you suppose I chose to hide inside the safe? It's no ordinary safe. It's specially designed. A dynamite explosion wouldn't leave a scratch on it. So, in fact, the safe was the only safe place. Precisely. But once you've climbed inside, you wouldn't have been able to get out again. I invite you to look more closely. The safe is fitted with a handle on the inside to allow the door to be unlocked from within. Oh, so it is. I had always intended to blow this place to smithers in any case. I just wasn't expecting uninvited guests to come along and screw up my plans. Do you mean to say you were planning to blow us all up? No, no, that was unforeseen. What do you mean? Most people run, you see, when they see a ticking time bomb at their feet. I calculated the time required for retreat to a safe distance and set the device accordingly. But your seemingly endless discourse in here threw a spanner in the works. Is something wrong, Gregson? Do I have something on my face, besides the usual eyes, ears, nose, and mouth? I think we have a fairly good idea of what's been going on here now, but what about the 2 incidents you've evidently been involved in recently? Professor Harebrain's instantaneous kinesis experiment at the Great Exhibition? And the waxwork model you stole, which this head belongs to? That's no ordinary head, you know. That's the head of the professor. Clad in a mask with a lock so strong, I'm unable to open it safely to reveal the killer's identity. I've been considering carrying it around as protection. What's going on here, Gregson? I'm sure you're aware that I have sole jurisdiction to investigate here. Yeah, well, Dr. Scythe again. So the forensic investigation team are here. And you know full well this engineer is a key witness. Why are you allowing this lawyer access to him? If Lord Strongheart knew of this, you'd be finished. You lot, leave. My dear madam, there's no need for such a threatening tone, I assure you. After all, that's no way to greet an old acquaintance, isn't it, Dr. Scythe? Hello, Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes knows Dr. Scythe? If it's protecting the machine next door that's causing such a sour expression on your face, you are quite misguided. It's really nothing more than a shell. You get out! But of course, we'll show ourselves the door. I see you haven't softened at all. Mr. Naruhodo, yes? It would appear that our delightfully entertaining investigations have run their course for today. But Mr. Sholmes, let us leave this place in the doctor's capable hands. I said get out, all of you. Your presence here is not required either, Gregson. Understood. But I'll just say one thing before I head off. If it wasn't for this lawyer and his companions, we'd never found this place, and the whole workshop would have been blown to bits. There was a time bomb set in here that this lot disarmed. Something giving you a chuckle, has it, Drebber? Oh, so sorry. Didn't mean to offend. You're quite right, of course. You did disarm the time bomb, didn't you? Yes, you did disarm that one. Eh, what do you... that one? You mean... It was an hour later that we heard the news of the enormous explosion that ripped through the experimentation stage at the Great Exhibition. Professor Harebrain's invention and all its secrets were blown away forever.